5 this week. Unit 5 is talking about locating facts and information. We're talking about nonfiction texts right now. We'll go into lesson 2. During the reading rotation independent work time, you will have your assignment that goes with the lesson for you to practice the skill. Independent reading and response. Remember the new guidelines for your responses. You only have to do 2 prompts. I want you to try to put in a response that has to do with some of the strategies and lessons we've had in reading. Okay? The other important thing is that we always want to give examples, right? Support our work with citing text evidence. Okay? I don't want any one-sentence comments. I'll also be calling groups over. I will probably call most all groups over. I told you the other day that we needed to revisit some of those paragraphs that we did before break. So I'll be calling groups over and then sending you back to your desk to revise those paragraphs. Luke. Yes, and I have that for you, yes. So I'll share that at group time, okay? We'll come back and we'll share our learning before we go into Words Their Way. And I already told you, A and B group, you'll continue your reading and response during that time since you don't have a new sort yet. C group, it's your day to write your sort since you were introduced to it yesterday. And D group, you're with me to get introduced to a new sort. Good to go? All right, let's go on to our lesson. All right. So our focus in Unit 5 is talking about using text features to locate facts and information. So all the lessons are telling us about different text features that we can use besides reading the text that will help us with that information. So we're looking at all the various text features. Now, yesterday's lesson was on using the cover and the title of the book, and using the table of contents to predict what we thought was going to be in that lesson. And that helps get our minds focused on what the book is going to be about. Today we're going to talk about those bold-faced words, and we're going to use the glossary to help us today. Okay? Now I know that we have talked about bold-faced words and using the glossary before. We're going to talk about it in a little different way today. Using nonfiction text, lots of times there's specialized terminology. And in simpler terms, I'm saying that there is specific vocabulary that goes with that subject. Okay? And instead of waiting for the word to come up as we're reading and then we're totally lost, we're going to talk about looking those words up before we read. I want you to know that even if you're a good reader, even if you're as smart as Miss Allen, you're going to come across bold-faced words that you don't know. Why? Because we don't all know about every certain subject, do we? I'm going to read sometimes and not know about that specific topic. So, I'm going to come across these words that I don't know. A way to help me is if I use that glossary, and I'm going to use it, like I said, I'm going to use it before I even read the content. Why would I read it before instead of wait until I get to it? Got an idea, Brady?
Because like then when you're in the middle of the story, you don't have to like get to the
Exactly right. There's a couple ways that it'll help us because it's going to help you with that background knowledge. It's going to reduce that interruption. We know that if we have to stop and look up a word, our understanding of the text might get interrupted. So we want to reduce that as much as we can, and it's going to improve that fluency. Okay, so I'm going to practice that. I'm going to model that for you. So I want you to watch and see what I do, because you're going to help me out later, and then you're going to do it on your own. All right, so yesterday we started Remarkable Robots, and we looked at the cover and the title and the table of contents. So to practice getting ready to use that glossary, I'm going to skim through and see if there are any bold-faced words. Okay, so I'm skimming through the very first page, and already there's a bold print word, and the word is androids. Now, I don't know too much about that. I have a little bit of information. I think they have something to do with these robotic creatures. I'm not a Star Wars fan, but I think it kind of has to do with that. So, since I'm not sure, I'm going to go back right now to the glossary and look for that. And I've got a copy glossary that in my book so that you can see what I'm seeing. Alright. So, if I go back to the glossary, it says robots that look like humans. So I was on the right track, and now I know that they are robots and they have human-like characteristics. Alright? So that was on page 3, and if I go to the next page, here's another one. Automatons. Automatons, and I see some strange looks coming at me. Well, I go back to my glossary, it says automatons are machines that operate by themselves. That makes sense to me because I know words that have auto have to do with self, just like autobiography has to do with writing about yourself. So that makes sense to me. Okay, so now when I read these pages, I have some background and some knowledge about what they're talking about for this text. So I won't have to stop and look them up then. I won't be confused as I'm reading. Now, I want you to help me out. I'm going to skim another page here. Okay, so there's no bold print words on this page. And the next page has 2. Okay, one of those words is probe. Does anybody have any connections to that word probe? You know what probe means?
Probe.
Isaac, you have an idea?
Well, probe, I'm thinking like probe is like a light source for...
Oh, like a probe light. Okay. Anybody else have an idea of what probe might mean? Abdullah?
Like it moves by like propane.
Propane. You're thinking of propane. Kate, one more. A programmed robot. Okay, well let's look at the glossary. I think that one's on here. There it is, down at the bottom. An unmanned spacecraft used for sending back information. So some of your thoughts might have been closely connected to that, such as yours, Kate, right? It's important because sometimes there's different meanings of words, and we want to know how it's used in this text, okay? So when I come across that word now, I know that they're talking about a spacecraft that doesn't have a human being in it, okay? Another word that's in here, artificial intelligence. Know anything about artificial intelligence? You know what the word artificial means? It means it's fake, it's not real, right? Fran? Something that has intelligence but it's fake. Okay? Kendra?
Basically a robot with a mind of its own.
A robot with a mind of its own. And I hear some people going, yeah. Okay, so let's see. Second word in the glossary, artificial intelligence. Thinking that is done by a machine. So why are they saying it's artificial? Luke? It's being done. Thinking that's being done. Doesn't have to do with intelligence, so why is it artificial? Oh, Luke?
Robots aren't real?
Robots aren't real. Do they have a brain like we do? Okay. So, now when I read this, I know androids, I know artificial intelligence, I know automatons, I know probe. So when I read this section of the book, I'm pretty much set, right? I don't have to interrupt my fluency. I don't have to interrupt my thinking, wondering, what is that? What are they talking about? All right, so today you're going to do that same thing. In your reader, and you're reading, turn it down, you're going to scan page 86. Yesterday you looked at the title and the cover and your table of contents, and you made some predictions about what you were going to learn about. Today we're going to practice those bold-faced words. So scan through page 86. Just listen right now, please. Scan that page. You will find a bold-faced word on that page. Okay? You're going to write that down and your meaning or your prediction of that word. Then you are going to look it up in your glossary, which will be on page 117 in your book. I want you to think about how the glossary definition is either similar to what you said or different? So think about that. How does the word unwanted, and you're gonna see that, this all makes sense when you do your work. How does that help you predict how it's gonna be used in the text? And then you need to read pages 86 to 89. Keep your books, you have it handy to go back to when we're sharing. Great.
When you predict or write down your word, when you write down why you think that.
Can you write down why you're thinking that? Yes, that would be excellent. If you just didn't think about that out of the blue and choose it, you had a reason why you're thinking that. Okay, so you need your reading spiral so you can record your information. Yes. Oh, you had your book. Okay, I will leave that up there to guide you. Be ready to share it at the end.